walk us through the divergence that you can see. If I'm given $100 as a bonus, the kind of variability that I could potentially see further down the road, depending on how stocks perform.
No, I think that's exactly right. So especially as we're in the midst of bonus season right now for a lot of these bankers and traders, the number that they're often given at this time of year is not exactly the number that they end up walking away with. A lot of these bankers are getting a big portion of their bonuses in restricted stock units. And so once those finally vest over the course of about 3 years on average, we've found that there's a really big divergence between especially U.S. banks and European banks in terms of who exactly kind of walks away with what they were promised and who walks away with a little bit less. So we saw that on average, the U.S. banks, and it's exactly right, mostly based on the fact that their stocks have been so much stronger, especially post-crisis, bankers at those banks were kind of walking away with more than what they were promised in their annual bonus letters. And over at the European banks, on average, a lot of the times they were walking away with less.
Because of the performance of the stock. And there's that divergence then between Europe and the US. So
Yeah.
what are European banks doing to kind of mitigate that? Because this is all about retaining talent.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really good point. There's not much other than the kind of ongoing work that all these CEOs and executives are doing to restructure the bank and put it on better footing, appeal more to investors. There's not much they can do. So I think that's like why you hear so much from them about wanting to tell this story to investors, wanting to get this right, because it really is all this big feedback loop where the stock performance really matters. A good banker, a good trader, they usually know the bank stock price within a couple of pennies or a couple of pence.
Yeah.
So they are obsessed with this, and it really gets back to this is what they're paid in, and this is why this matters so much to them.
Okay, so what does this mean then in terms of the bonus season we're in right now, compensation, statements arriving for people, and how much fun can you have with the bonus calculator on the Bloomberg terminal?
The calculator is really fun. I highly recommend everyone go and give it a try.
This is a very well-read story on the Bloomberg terminal, I should point out, that will surprise nobody.
Yes, yeah, no, it's really fun. You can go in, you can take a look at your bonus, take a look at how it might compare to someone down the street. But I think right now a lot of folks are really expecting bank stocks to take off in the next couple of years. A lot of that's driven by President Donald Trump over in the U.S. They think he's going to usher in this new era of deal making and greatness for banks. And so if you've gotten a big bonus recently, you're probably feeling pretty good. But as we note in the story, fortunes can change very quickly. We might all remember back in 2023, Credit Suisse was planning on giving out some really big stock-based bonuses. One month later, they were no longer in existence. So fortunes can change very quickly on Wall Street, and the story today is really trying to capture that.